is Readers Club with Ayo. It's always a pleasure to connect like this every Saturday to, talk about books. And recently, one thing that I've just realized is I think we give too much importance, too much power to the word book, when in fact we should be talking about writing generally. A good percentage of people worldwide regard reading as something that actually has to be a book. You have to read a book for you to qualify, as a reader. But I think if we keep on emphasizing or putting the emphasis on books, a lot of people are going to miss out on so much other information. For example, did you know that compared with how much people read in the past, only a little percentage of people, because I don't want to give you this information, right? Only a little percentage of people still keep up to speed using newspapers when you compare them with the vast population of people in a particular place, right? And sometimes there's so much information that they are missing out on. When you talk about how people can get information, say politics, entertainment, and business, IT, and all of that, they can get information from reading newspapers. But when you talk about some other things, like something I have just recently found out, many people don't search for things like that in the pages of newspapers. So just recently, I just was in the office and I saw a sheet of the newspaper, just a page of it. And guess what I saw? I think it must really be fate or destiny or something, right? Because in the news recently, we've been hearing a lot about the movie being made at this time by Saturday Kilani and of course Apala Ayinla, story about the life and times of Ayinla Omowura. So I'm saying it must be fate because up until the moment I saw that newspaper page, I didn't give much thought to the other guys in the band with Ayinla Omowura. And in that newspaper page, the headline said, "Look at my life. Is this how a celebrity's home should look like?" In my head, I was thinking, so who is this celebrity who is feeling, entitled? Who is this? Who? Now, a lot of people, when they think about celebrities today, are likely to think in the line of Davido, Wizkid, especially in the music line, right? Burna Boy, Kiss Daniel, yes. What name are you guessing? All of those names. But before these guys came to know what celebrity life should be or is, there have been some guys at the forefront of the music scene. One of such guys was Ayinla Omowura. And in the band that Ayinla Omowura sang for, he used to have a drummer. This was his lead drummer. Now, his name was, because he died only just recently, his name was Alhaji Ayinla, but he was more popularly known as Oniluola or Oniluola. I'm not sure which accent that word will take now. And word has it that it was really good. In fact, sometimes on stage when there was a party and the Ayinla Omowura band was there, he would get so into the whole thing that he would begin to, I know this because I know a little about music, Yorubas will say, he would try to, how do I explain this? I only know it in Yoruba, so I guess I'm going to have to say it. Omale Ayinla Omowura nire. And in this interview that I'm about to tell you more about, he said he did that because he wanted to find out if Ayinla Omowura really knew about music. So much that if he changed the tune, or so to speak, went off course or off tune, he wanted to find out if Ayinla Omowura would be able to, get that synchrony or that harmony back. What a man. Live, right? It was so fun. It was so they had their fun back in the day. Unfortunately, one or two things happened along the line. As most groups will come to realize, they would have their own um, misunderstandings, and sometimes some of these can be irreconcilable. Now, this newspaper clipping I'm going to read from, this is a feature article in the Saturday Tribune of January 2nd, 2021. Okay, and this feature is by Dr. Festus Adedayo. He had an encounter with this man, and like I said, it was fate, me stumbling upon this page. I didn't catch the entire newspaper, it was just this page, like it was just waiting for me to read it. And from the moment I started reading it, I didn't stop till the end, and I knew, no, this is Readers Club with Ayo. It's not exactly book club, right? Any interesting book, any interesting information, right? So it could be a magazine tomorrow, it could be what? Maybe even a manual or cooking recipe that I'm going to come up with tomorrow, I guess. Because I really just found this very, very interesting. So let's get into it. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn yìí, tí n bá ti wá kú ńkọ́? Meaning, you these people, what if I had died? That was how celebrated drummer Alhaji Ayinla aka Oniluola, one who drums self into wealth, welcomed my crew and me to his house on May 24th, 2019. I met him poor, very poor. Oniluola's death on Tuesday marked an almost total closure of the legends behind the genre of traditional Yoruba African music called Apala, popularized by late Ayinla Omowura. Oniluola was the lead drummer of that leading Yoruba musician, killed on May 6, 1980 in a barroom squabble. Omowura and Adewale were the musical twin who popularized that genre. While Omowura passed on at the age of 47, Oniluola died at 97. In writing the book, Ayinla Omowura, Life and Times of an Apala Legend, authored by me, that's Dr. Festus Adedayo, it was almost inconceivable that a biography of the musical legend Omowura could be written without Oniluola's voice. In the bid to get to him, my crew, consisting of Wahid Ganiyu and Idris Oderinde, and me, booked several appointments that spanned almost a year, which failed to materialize due to our inability to get to Abeokuta, where he lived. So, Baba Adewale's house was inaccessible to vehicles, so we had to park our car at a distance to where he lived. The rest we plowed with our feet, and then our jaws began to drop. In fact, while trekking, we had to walk on a wooden bridge over a small stream. Then our guide made to walk into one very old house. We thought he had made a mistake. We were going to the famous Adewale Oniluola's house. We scolded him from within us. We followed him nevertheless. And inside a passage of about 6-roomed bungalow, which Yoruba ingeniously nicknamed Face Me I Face You, we momentarily halted. My memory seems to be failing me now, but I'm not sure if the floor was paved or if the house had a ceiling. An old woman, whom we later found out was Baba's wife, welcomed us. Our guide was a known face in the family, so we were ushered into the first room by the left, which served as the famous drummer's sitting room. If a young folk of this generation were on that visit as we entered Baba's living room, what would involuntarily drop out of his mouth is that American lingo of shock. Damn! Yes, the room was damnable for its bereftness of anything modern or comfortable living features. Some wooden chairs without couches served as Baba's furniture. Oniluola's drumming dexterity was celebrated to high heavens by Omowura in virtually all his songs. There was seldom any that he would not sing about his leading drummer's versatility. In Anjonualare, meaning musical note, Omowura sang of Oniluola thus: Alulufobirin tadi that is, a drummer who wields his drumming stick in such a manner that ladies swing their buttocks in response to its melody. He scolded him once while Oniluola was drumming off-key. Alao Adewole lega lega, ká ṣe sùúrù fúnra ẹni, wéré láyé ń fẹ́. I asked him why Omowura responded above to the drumming of his. Oniluola said he deliberately took the orchestra off course with his beats as he wanted to test Omowura's musical understanding and ability. He wanted to know if the celebrated musician would be able to bring back the symphony to its initial course as it drummed. Now, placing side by side the poverty that confronted us on getting to Oniluola's home and his fame provoked some existential interrogation in me. From the prism of the world, Oniluola was a success, judging by his fame. Yet, here in his home, he was struggling to make ends meet. Was he really a success? What is the meaning of success? So we began the interview. Baba wore an old brown agbada made of lace material. He had advanced in age, but his memory luxuriated like green vegetable in an irrigation field. How did he meet Omowura? And why did Omowura always sing that he was his boss? Especially judging by many of his lines where he claimed Oniluola was his boss. Like this. Tí mo bá ti rálá o, ẹ̀rù kan ò tún bà mí mọ́. Adéwọlé akọ́mọlédè àfìlú ń dá wọn lára. Ọmọ Adéwọlé àdídùn ni. Ẹni bá ti ń jó lágbo àfi náírà yá Adéwọlé sí. Meaning, my confidence is always fortified on the bandstand whenever I see Adewale, the language teacher, whose melodious drumming attracts spraying of naira. Now, Oniluola told us that the band actually belonged to him. I had become very famous in drumming for the boys. Now, this is Oniluola talking. I had become very famous in drumming for the boys and the maidens at parties. My drumming became so renowned with these people that at a point, they asked that I should not only drum for them, I should look for a singer with whom I could combine my drumming to make it a more sensational encounter. So when he began inquiring for the right singer, now, one Ayinla Wahidi was introduced to him. Locating him, however, became a Herculean task. He continues now. In my search for a musician, I was told that there was a boy who resided at Agoka called Ayinla. He was a backup to one musician who lived at somewhere there. Now, he continued, if I got here, they will say he was at Agoka. If I got to Agoka, they might say he was at another place. It was so energy-sapping, but I eventually traced him. An incident which Oniluola recounted as the group was struggling for the top is remarkable. While looking for a record label that could promote their band, Ayinla and Adewale had met a friend of theirs called Adeola Baba Salimo, who linked them to the current Olubadan of Ibadan, then Prince, of course, who was the owner of Omaje Records. Omaje was the promoter of Haruna Ishola, notable Apala maestro. Omowura, Oniluola, and their band members were then invited for an auditioning. According to Oniluola, they put in their very best to impress the prince, but after the auditioning, it was put off by their style. Can you people sing like Haruna Ishola? He had asked them dismissively. The demise of his boy and boss, Omowura, was a very touchy issue that Oniluola didn't want to touch, right? It evoked a very painful memory of the financial ruins of the ace drummer. At an early stage in their musical career, Omowura and Oniluola had a disagreement over the sharing of their earnings. According to the drummer, at the early stage of their being signed on by the international recording label EMI, he had gone to the white owners of the outfit to tell them that he was indeed the original owner of the band, having invited Omowura to join him, and should be thus recognized. The EMI management, according to his narration, however, refused to acknowledge him as the boss, claiming that they recognized the singer as head of the band and not the drummer. So this made the Ayinla band situation akin to that of the Jamaican singing trio, Bob Marley, B. Peter Tosh, and Bonnie Livingston. The man who promoted the Wailers to international reckoning, Island Records owner Chris Blackwell, had recognized Marley as the leader of the band, thus provoking a disagreement that was probably resolved in the graves of Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. So it seems like that was the same thing that happened between Ayinla Omowura and, of course, Baba Oniluola, right? And so I guess the label they were signed to at the time didn't make things any better. Oniluola took his leave of the band in the mid-70s, and Omowura got another drummer who was called Yebiri Adisa. I'm not sure if I got that pronunciation right, to fill the vacuum anyway. So he then drummed for Omowura in that silver-winning incendiary album entitled Isheele, where Omowura recorded 500,000 copy sales in a couple of weeks of its release. Omowura and Oniluola nevertheless found out that the trouble between them was a spiritual wedge, and so had to come back in an amity brokered by a popular transporter and friend of Oniluola's, that's Razaki, and another Raufu Adeola, alias Papa Salimo. So when Adedayo, now the person who wrote this piece, got off the interview with Oniluola, what he got off it was that he believed that Omowura made huge wealth from his innovation and abandoned, Oniluola, the innovator. He and Omowura were only able to produce just 2 albums after the reconciliation. According to Oniluola, Omowura never fulfilled all the promises he made by the time he breathed his last. The celebrated drummer also tried to wriggle himself out of the outlawry and excesses associated with Omowura, like smoking of cannabis and consumption of excessive liquor. When the drummer began to narrate his travails since Omowura's death, he burst into hot tears that took the crew a few minutes to halt. Of course, I can imagine how emotional it must have been for him to relieve that point of his life where, I mean, I can really just refer to Omowura and Oniluola as friends, even if I'm not sure if they were best of friends then, right? But I'm sure they must have been really close, having gone to so many stage performances together, let alone, the commercial side of things where they sold their albums and all that. So to now lose somebody like that, and now having over the years to have lived the way he did before he died, in nothing in close to poverty, really, it must really be hurtful. And while I was reading through as well, I saw that somebody had opened a GoFundMe account for him, where they were trying to raise about $20,000 in his name. Unfortunately, I saw that it only garnered about $700, and that further hurts me, right? The popular Big Brother show has been on for how long, and if any housemate decides to need or not even need some set amount, I know how much people are always able to garner for them. And this is of no blame to anybody, at least in our generation. Because if you ask the average person in this generation, what do you know who Ayinla Omowura is? Only a few of them. Maybe because their parents used to play it a lot at that time, and so they fell in love with it. Only a few of the people in this generation will be able to say, yes, I definitely know this one and I connect with him. It brings to bear, the people who enjoyed the most what this man offered the world, offered the country, when these people needed them the most, especially Oniluola, who is of course the last man standing in that band. In fact, in that era, where were people, So it's a very tragic one, and of course I pray that his soul finds peace, and it rests indeed in peace, and that this is a lesson. I feel like all of these legends in different fields they're going off one after the other, like candles, and I'm not sure how much attention or how observant we are of that fact. Before you know it, all of these legends will be gone. I was just talking to somebody the other day about how Peter Fatomilola, how much of an investment the man is to this country. And I understand how, when people like that go, we're always quick to paint their faces all over newspapers, airtimes, on radio stations, television. For while they're here, what are we doing for them? What can we do for them? Let's think. Please think, right? Let's help these guys, because it is well. So of course, it's Readers Club with Ayo. My name is Ayo Drojai. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If there is any information that I possibly got wrong or any name I mispronounced, please let me know in the comment section. If there's any information you want to pass across, please do let me know as well. Special thanks, huge thanks, of course, to Dr. Festus Adedayo, who originally put this piece together in the Saturday Tribune. Huge thanks as well to the Tribune family. Thank you so much. And thank you as well. Thank you as well for watching this. Have a splendid rest of your evening. I love you.